everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you just so happen to be stopping by for the very first time, thank you so much for being here. My name is Donella and this is my world of beauty here on YouTube. Okay, so this week's video is something that I filmed previously. However, I am testing out a new camera right here and the macro camera is killing me. This is what happens when you get new stuff. You know, you have to upgrade your stuff, you have to get in tune with all of the new goings on. But the macro camera, like if I go too far out, see, it loses focus. So I'm kind of still toggling with that and trying to, you know, work my way around dealing with the macro camera, because I love the fact that it's so zoomed and you could actually see me. And I do honestly believe I do need to upgrade one of my ring light, because I feel like even now I have the macro camera, that I need even more lighting, because I feel like I have a large 18-inch and a 10-inch ring light, and I still feel like it's not even enough lighting, you know. So anyway, with that being said, let me just jump into this week's video. As I mentioned previously, this week's video is something that I filmed over. It's actually a comparison video that I did with two setting powders, because I'm not sure if everybody knows the difference between a setting / translucent powder and a finishing powder, but I do believe the names of these powders should speak for themselves. You know, the fact that it's a setting powder means that it's meant to set things, and a finishing powder means that you basically use it after you finish everything. So today's video has to do with comparing two setting powders, and those two powders being the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder, this one right here, and the Fenty Beauty Honey Powder. Now the Fenty Honey Powder is a powder with, let me try and get this to focus a little bit. Yeah. Ooh. Is it focused? No. Yeah, I think it's focused. Okay, so the Fenty Beauty Honey Powder, a little bit of something fell on the top of this, so you can't really see the Fenty name on it too much right now. But this is the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder that I've heard so many good things about, and I did actually go in with it on my first video, and I just want to capture my first reaction. Well, I can't really say it's a first reaction anymore. It has to be a second reaction, because I previously filmed it, but everything was just looking out of focus and crazy and what's not. So I decided to sit down today and refilm it. I already went ahead and primed and all that. So I'm going to go in with my Uoma Beauty foundation. This is the Flawless IRL, which is in real life, Skin Perfecting Foundation. This one is T3, and then I'm going to go around the perimeter of my face with my Maybelline Dewy Smooth Foundation in the shade 360. I thought to go in with the Maybelline foundation. That's really because the Uoma Beauty foundation has a hell of a golden undertone, but when it dries down to this beautiful finish, and that's one of the reasons why I believe I'm going to be using it a lot in some of my future beauty videos. I'm going to go in next with the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in the shade Spiced Rum. Can you see this? Listen, I keep calling this a macro camera, but it's actually a macro lens. I said it wrong the first instance. It's supposed to be macro lens, not macro camera, because it's the lens that has the macro, not the actual camera itself. Go in and conceal the areas where I want conceal, and also use the concealer to highlight the areas that I want to highlight real quick. And I'm just going to allow this to dry down just for a minute, and while I'm allowing that to dry down, I'm going to go in and sculpt my face, my contour. I'm using the black Opal True Color Mineral Matte palette. This is basically the palette form to the black Opal foundation sticks that I love so much. So while that's drying down, I'm just going to go in and apply this real quick. Okay, so now that I've blended that out, I'm going to go in first with the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder. I'm going to go in first with this because this is a powder that I don't use that often, well, besides the video that got messed up. So I already know how this works, but we're just going to pretend that I never filmed the first video. I'm just going to pretend, okay? So I'm going to go in as close as I can. to the camera so you guys could see this, but I chose the honey powder, even though, you know, I could have chosen banana and banana, but it's just that this banana has the same rich yellow undertone just like the Fenty honey powder, so I decided to go in with honey instead of the banana. So I'm just going to go in and just pat that right there, and as you guys can see, instantly it just set everything in place. There's no more shine. It just looks amazing. So that's the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep powder. I'm going to flip my wedge and go over on the other side, because you know this side is already messed up with the banana powder. I'm wondering if I'll be able to differentiate. That's the problem I'm having right here. Would I be able to differentiate? Let's hope I can. Okay, so this side now I'm dipping it in the Fenty honey powder, and I'm just going to go in and press that in. Right off the bat, which is something that I noticed in the previous video that I filmed that didn't make it here, is that I do realize that the Fenty honey powder sits a little bit closer to my skin's complexion, comparison to my skin's complexion compared to the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep powder. This one has a bit of a like, this just sets a little bit lighter in comparison to this that just sets seamlessly into my skin. That's just my first observation, just looking at them just like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the, since I already have the Fenty right away, I did MAC each side. This side with the crease has the Fenty. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the Fenty to set underneath here, right here, and then I'm going to flip and set my 5 head. I have to call it a 5 head because, you know, up here is so big. My 5 head with the Makeup Revolution banana powder. Make sure I have enough. It has like a bit of, it has like a sifter on there, which I really like, so you know you can control how much is how much comes out at a time. So I'm just going to use that and set up here, and then I'm just going to go off camera real quick and finish the rest of my face and see how everything holds up while I'm completing the rest of my face, and I'll be back shortly. All right guys, so I am back and this is a completed look. This is very similar to the first creation, the first draft. I don't even know what to call this, but yeah, this is pretty much what I was wearing with, well, with the exception of my hair being wrapped, because at the first time I filmed this comparison video, I was wearing a black head wrap. That's because I had just finished washing my hair like 30 minutes before I started filming, so my hair was really damp at the time, and you know, water dripping all over, etc. So I decided to put on a head wrap. However, this is basically the completed look, and I'm just going to allow the powders to set into my skin and do what they need to do for about an hour, which is what I did in the previous test or comparison video, I should say. And that's really because within an hour or two, I already know if a setting powder is going to work for my skin type or not. Give myself to determine whether or not this setting powder is going to hold up. Now, there's a hell of a difference in comparison to a 1 hour wear and an 8 hour wear. And people might be saying, you know, you're kind of cheating the setting powder and you're not really giving it enough time. But honestly, I know my skin, and if I see any sort of like greasiness or anything like that within the first hour, I already know that it's not going to hold up, so it's not going to work. So when you know your skin, you already know what's going to happen in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, even if it's something that you use on a regular, or if it's something that you're trying for the first time, you already know how your face is going to look within an hour. So if it still holds up and it still looks good in the first hour or so, and maybe you start seeing a little bit of creasing, or you know, a little bit of natural oils breaking through, that's fine, because all of us who have oily skin know that we have to deal with that. But if it holds up for the first hour, yes girl, you know you have a little bit of a leeway between the first hour all the way down into the 8th hour. So I'll be back within an hour to check in on you guys, so you guys can see. This is the side that we're testing, by the way. Remember, and this side has the Fenty, so this is the side that we're really going to be paying attention to. Oh, and down here as well. Actually, no, I'm sorry, down here has Fenty. Up here and on the left side of my face is what we're going to be paying attention to. I'm going to check back in with you guys in 1 hour time. All right guys, so I am back, and yeah, I decided to sit in front of this little area right here because oh my god, it is extremely hot today, and I don't know why it's so damn hot. Whew, the summer days are fast approaching, but yeah, I decided to sit back down because I went for those of you who can you guys see this, because I know this thing is gonna take, like, it's 10:40 right now, 10:40 a.m. yeah, I started filming pretty early because I just wanted to relax for the rest of the day, so I started to film like extremely early, like around 8. I started setting up and everything, so I finished like just after 9, and it's going for 11, so I think I've given myself enough time to determine. I really should have let you guys see the time before when I left first, so you guys can see I did actually spend like an hour and change wearing this. So right off the bat, which is what I noticed instantly when I did the first video, is that the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder holder, it pretty much does the same thing that the Fenty Beauty Powder does, which is why I assume so many YouTubers and beauty influencers are actually using it. And by the way, this is actually much cheaper than Fenty. You know, this Fenty, these big jars of the Fenty powder cost like somewhere between 36 to 40 US, whereas this is less than $10. This is somewhere between 7 or 8, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the exact figure, but I know it's under $10, and it's somewhere between $7 and $8, and it does the same thing that the Fenty Beauty does. The only thing is that I wish in comparison to this side I feel like this one has a bit of a like a whitey-ish residue compared to the Fenty that just basically settles into my skin. Now they're both extremely finely milled, but somehow I believe the formula of the Fenty Instant Retouch powder is I think if I have to choose between one of them, I would always go for the Fenty. And that's not because it costs more. If some believe that if a particular brand costs more, like, you know, if it's up there with the high-end brands like Estee Lauder and all those different high-end brands that have been around for some time, that it's going to be better than the cheap brands. But to be honest, there are a lot of high-end brands that I hate. For instance, I hate all of MAC Jacobs foundation. They smell terrible, except just make your face feel extremely cakey. And I feel like the undertones are off, the smell is off, definitely. I just hate MAC Jacobs foundation. So yes, it's a high-end brand, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. If I had to choose between a MAC Jacobs foundation and a Maybelline foundation, I would always go for the Maybelline, because I just feel like the creators and the persons behind the Maybelline brand understands the dark skin and our undertones better than the MAC Jacobs company does. Like their undertones are always off, the foundation is always too heavy, and it just smells really bad, honestly, if I'm speaking honestly. Okay, so let's go back to the comparison products at hand, which are the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder and the Fenty Beauty Instant Retouch Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Setting Powder. So normally I would choose at the end of these comparison videos which one I would prefer, but honestly I do like both of them. And the question would be, out the expensive high-end brand for something that's a little bit cheaper? I would probably say no, and that's really because they both do the same thing. And if I can have two powders on my hand where I could say, hey, you know, I'm feeling a little cheap today, I don't feel like wasting this one because this one costs a lot more, let me put this one on because this one is going to do the same thing, then, you know, I have that option to use either or. So I'm not going to switch out one for the other. What I'm going to do is keep both of them and say, hey, I have two setting powders in my makeup drawer that pretty much do the same thing. One costs $7 and the other one costs $36. Which one do you think I'm going to be using this time? Now, I have to say I was pleasantly surprised at the Makeup Revolution Banana Deep Powder and what it did in terms of setting my concealer in place, and I barely see anything breaking through. I don't know if you guys can see anything breaking through. Let me just turn this way. The macro lens is going to zoom in on my face right here. Yeah, right there. and you could barely see any sort of anything breaking through, which is what the Fenty powder does for me, which is why I've been loving it every summer. This is my main powder. It just sets everything in place, and it quickly became a staple in my makeup drawer. This is a powder that I continuously buy all the time. Like I have at least 3 of these. Now that's really because I use a lot of powders because I have oily skin. So without me rambling on any further, that's basically it for this comparison video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. You learned a thing or two, and you can make up your mind whether you want to buy the Makeup Revolution or the Fenty powder. It's just all I think it just all comes down to your wallet and your preference, whether you want to spend a lot of money or you want it telling you, honey, we're gonna have to switch to this, we're gonna have to stay on the low and just take the $7 powder, whichever one. Honestly, I love both of them. I've said this like 3 times already. I love both of them, so either or works for me. Alright guys, so that is it for the end of this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy and did learn a thing or two. If you did, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up on your way out, and also don't forget to hit the subscribe button on your way out. Thank you guys so much for being here with me, and I'll talk to you guys real soon on my next upload.